Hello Internet, so nice to see you. I'm here today to tell you that there are only 3 kinds of chords. But no, not Tommaso, there are several kinds of chords. It's impossible to have only 3 kinds of chords. No, there are only 3 kinds of chords, but no, Tommaso, there are too many. I mean, we have chords like major chords and minor chords, and 7 chords, dominant 7 chords, and major 7th chord, and 6th chord, and add 4 chords, and sus2 chord, sus4 chord, augmented chord, diminished 7th chord, half diminished 7th chord, quarter diminished 7th chord. No, I invented this last one to make sure you guys were paying attention. Anyway, yeah, it looks like there are a lot of kinds of chords, right? But they all fall in 3 groups, or at least, that's the theory. And these theories seem to work well with at least classical harmony and jazz harmony. Of course, like every theory in music theory, it does not have a universal application. You can always, if you search enough, find a weird combination of notes that will not fit in this theory. This theory exists because it classifies the most used chords in music. And indeed, to find the exception to this theory, you have to go and search. This kind of proves the validity of it. If you want to state this precisely, this is not a theory like in physics, that it's true 100% of the time, barring exception, because in physics there are exceptions too. But that's a good theory to get started in understanding all those chords that we have in music theory, and we'll cover the vast majority of music as long as you don't really go searching for trouble. Once you've learned it, go and search for trouble because it's fun, but before, to simplify your life, you can use what I'm going to explain right now. So there are only 3 kinds of chords, and in a moment I'm going to explain to you what are those 3 kinds of chords. But first, let's see why we're doing this, because dividing all chords, or at least 99.99% of chords, in 3 groups allow us to do several good things for us. The first thing is that it simplifies learning all those chords, because if you can classify a chord in category 1, 2, or 3, and you always play on chords in category 1 in a specific way, you always play chords in a category 2 in a specific way, and you always play chords in a category 3 in a specific way, this simplifies your learning a lot. Second, it allows you to understand substitution better, because most substitutions are inside this group, meaning that you can change a chord in category 1 with any other chord in category 1, you can change a chord in category 2 with any other chord in category 2, and so on and so forth. So it really makes it easier for us to understand substitution. Third, these help us also in ear training, because it's much easier to identify chords if you first identify in what group they are, and you can totally hear that. It's much easier to identify in what group the chords are and then try to understand the details, or specifically what chord is that, rather than immediately trying to find what chord is that, at least at the beginning. So this is something that, while it's not true literally 100% of the time, it makes your life much easier. So what are the 3 groups? So we are going to divide practically all the chord in those 3 groups: major, minor, and dominant. We are going to define as major chords all chords that have or accept both a major third and a major 7th. I'm going to explain what accept means in a moment. We're going to define as minor chords all chords that have or accept both a minor third and a perfect 5th. And we are going to define as dominant chord all chords that have or accept a major third and a minor 7th. That's the definition. But what does it mean when I say have or accept? Well, let's take the major chords. They need to have or accept major third and major 7th. This means that if the chord contains both a major third and a major 7th, it's major. Yay, we are done. That's a C major 7th with C, E, and B, with E being the major third and B the major 7th. Easy. But what if I have a plain C major triad? Will this chord be a major chord or a dominant chord? Well, a major triad could be either a major chord or a dominant chord. Let's take the plain old C major scale, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and let's write all the triads in that. C, D minor, E minor, F, G, A minor, B diminished. If I also write all the sevenths in those chords, I have C major 7, D minor 7, E minor 7, F major 7, G dominant 7, A minor 7, and B minor 7 flat 5. So as you see, the C triad and the F triad in the key of C major, or if you want, the 1 and the 4th, are major chords because they both accept a major 7th. Meaning that when I play the scale on top, I naturally play the major 7th. But the G major triad, the 5th, it's a dominant chord because when I play the scale on top, I naturally play the dominant 7, the F note, over this G major triad. So if I just play a G major triad out of nothing and I don't know it's in the C major scale, I can technically not classify it, but I can give a default ruling that it's a major chord. Simply because, to most ear, the major 7th is more agreeable than the dominant 7th. Your experience may be different. When this theory was invented, this was the case for the vast majority of people. But if I play the G major triad and I know I am in the key of C major because this G major triad is in a chord progression in C major, then this G major triad is a dominant chord, even if it doesn't contain the minor 7th, because in context, it's a dominant chord. Of course, this being the internet, a vast majority of you are now trying to find counterexamples of chords that will not fit this classification. And, always this being the internet, many of you are convinced you are succeeding. So for instance, I am pretty sure some of you are just telling me, but Tommaso, you just write a chord that does not fit this classification, and it's there. It's the B diminished chord. Oh well, joke's on you, because I've already published a video showing you how diminished chords are actually dominant chords in disguise, and I totally recommend you guys go and see it. Other people are just thinking about, what about suspended chord? Suspended second or suspended fourth chord could be major chord or minor chord or even dominant chord. After all, a suspended fourth chord could be in many different places in a scale and could totally accept a major third or a minor third or a major 7 or a minor 7th. So it could be anything. Yes, that is exactly true. This is not a counterexample, this is just showing that some specific chord, just like the major triad, can fit more than one category depending on where we are in the scale and depending on the context. So all suspended fourth chord or suspended second chord could be major chords or minor chord or dominant chords in disguise, but they still be classified as one of those three. The same thing is going to happen with other strange structures like augmented chords. Augmented chords too can be classified in any one of those three as major, minor, or dominant. And indeed, let me show you. Let's say I have a C augmented chord, the notes are C, E, G sharp. Well, this could be classified as a major chord if I can put in a major 7th, so a B note. Or it could be classified as a dominant chord if it accepts a minor 7th. Technically, it can even be classified as a minor chord if I put it over a base of A, so the notes are A, C, E, G sharp, because that would be an A minor major 7th. And with respect to the root of A, we'll have the minor 3rd C and the perfect 5th E. It's a technicality if you want, but it does happen in music. Now, why we are doing all this? Because if you have a long and very complex chord progression, and you want to play over this chord progression, or you want to substitute the chords in this chord progression, what you need to know is not so much if a specific chord contains a 6th or a major 7 or a sus2 or a sus4 or other things. What you need to know is that that chord is major. Once you know that your chord is major, you have very specific scales and note choices that will work on all major chords. If the chord is minor, you will have specific scale choices and note choices that will work over that minor chord. And if a chord is dominant, you have specific scale choices and note choices that will work great over the dominant chord. And the idea is that you can choose the scale, and the classification of major, minor, and dominant will give you specific set of scales to choose from that will work good, and the rest is up to your taste. In other words, this classification simplify your note choices and scale choices and substitution choices a lot. So it's really worth to learn it. Now, what I want you guys to do, your homework, if you choose to accept it, is pick a chord and then in the comment write down if you think this chord is major, minor, or dominant 7. And I'm gonna read your comment and then I'm gonna comment on that and or make videos on that to help you understand this classification. Now, if you want to use this classification, if you want to see how this is used, this classification is a big part of my course Master of the Modes, where I teach you how to play over chord progressions, because this distinction is how we go about choosing the correct scale to play every chord progression. So if you haven't seen it yet, go and check out my course Master of the Modes. Master of the Modes, it's not a book, and it will never be a book. It's a complete video course made by guitar players for guitar players that take you from zero to become an expert in using modes and scales. This course is for people who are not afraid to do some exercises. Theory is important, applying theory is more important, so the course is taught through exercises that you have to do, and the more you practice them, the better you become. If you have just a minute, check out Master of the Modes at the link on the top right. If you like these videos, smash on that like button, don't forget to subscribe and click on notification, otherwise YouTube will not let you know when I put up a new video. And if you have any idea, any feedback, any suggestions, please write them down in the comments. I love to read from you. This is Tommaso Zilio of musictheoryforguitar.com, and until next time, enjoy!